BC Breakdown.
This is BC Breakdown.
This is BC Breakdown. This is BC Breakdown.
It's BC Breakdown.
BC Breakdown.
This is BC Breakdown.
Hey, what's up? I'm Jaime Gates and this is BC Breakdown. We've got a lot to talk about today, so let's not waste any time. People always say coffee is what gets you up in the morning, but what will keep you up all day? Grab a seat, but don't sip too fast. It's time for a trending tea.
My favorite song out right now is Ultralight Beam by Kanye West. And I guess someone who inspires my fashion, I go for the more, I guess my hair is natural. I guess you could say Jill Scott, you know.
I'm inspired by Fashionly Rihanna because she takes risks. She's unique, she's different, and that's how I like to live my life and my fashion.
And Future influences my fashion. And right now, my favorite song by him is Fly-ish.
So my favorite song at the moment is Freedom by Jamal Lyon off Empire.
An artist that influences my fashion and the way I look is Erykah Badu. My favorite song right now is Rihanna Work because that is just amazing. Where.
Moving on from music and fashion, coming up after the break, we'll talk about what all college students talk about. Dating, relationships, and sex, baby. We'll be right back with more BC Breakdown. Hey, what's up? This is Jaime Gates, the host of Mirror Mondays on WBCR Bloomfield College Radio. The station is finally back, giving you a wide variety of all types of shows. Make sure you tune in by going to bloomfield.edu and searching WBCR. You don't want to miss it. And we're back, and it's time to talk about what's happening. These days, everyone has their own ideas on dating and relationships. We want to know, how soon is too soon to have sex when it comes to relationships?
Do I think sex in a relationship is essential? Yes, I do think sex in a relationship is essential. Not only because that's just all us guys think about, but I feel like sex is a form of showing your love, attraction. It's a way of, greeting your partner, showing that you love them.
It depends how long y'all been talking to each other, how well y'all know each other.
Yeah, I think it is essential, it spices up, keeps everything going,
So sex in a relationship is pretty important because there's a certain attraction that you should have with your significant other. And if there's that sexual attraction isn't there, then the spark is completely gone. So what's the point of being with somebody if that's what's considered as reproduction and making love and magic?
We here at the studio did our own research. According to lifehacker.com, in the U.S. Today News, sex comes as a third essential thing in a relationship. The center, which is located in Asbury Park, New Jersey, houses homeless people who have contracted HIV and AIDS. To further this test, I figured we'd get an expert to give us his views on sex and relationships, primarily on college campuses. We surveyed around campus questions that students may want to ask when it comes to safe sex practices on college campuses. On the phone, we have George Lowe, Director of Resident and Client Services at the Center in Asbury Park, New Jersey. Mr. Lowe, who has been a licensed social worker for about 25 years, has experience in counseling and testing people with HIV and safe sex practices. Before we get started, please explain to our audience what inspired you to want to be involved with safe sex practices.
Back in the early days of the epidemic, when we found out how transmission was possible and what we could do to stop it. At the time, I was a young social work student, and we had somebody come speak to us at the college I was going to, saying that this was going to be a major epidemic, and that, they had a chart showing how many people had the virus, how many didn't know they had it, and how many people they projected would have it. And they said that there just wasn't enough workers to meet that demand. And as a young student, I saw that as a challenge.
Why do you think it's hard for students to take the proper precaution when it comes to sex?
That is the million-dollar question, and believe me, it has been studied by so many people, including the Centers for Disease Control and NIH in Washington. It was the strong belief that once we knew how people would get HIV, there'd be no new cases, because people would do what they would have to prevent the spread of it. And what they saw over the years is, yes, there was a decline in the number of cases, but yet we still had cases of people becoming infected.
What are some key guidelines that you advise students to follow when it comes to having sex?
Well, it's important. It's not just HIV today. One condom prevents pregnancy, herpes, human papillomavirus, syphilis, gonorrhea, HIV. I mean, there's just so many diseases one condom would prevent. So it is almost hard to believe that people wouldn't use it just because of all those reasons. And in fact, back in the 1930s, when we discovered penicillin that can treat sexually transmitted diseases, it was believed that if just the people who had them had used condoms, it would be extinct by now. It would have died out with the people who had it. But obviously that didn't happen since the 1930s, and we still have it. So again, it goes back to, why don't people use them? Had everybody who had syphilis or gonorrhea used a condom back in the 30s, your generation would not even know what this disease is. But that wasn't the case.
What advice can you give to people who are pressured to not practice safe sex?
You're playing Russian roulette. And, all those people that were interviewed, some of them would say, well, they just don't think they can get it. But that's not true, because there's a line every night at the STD clinic at Jersey Shore Medical Center of people who did think they got something. So it's not that they don't think they can't get it, but they took the risk anyway, and now they're going to find out if that risk turned out to be something bad.
What are some points on how to deal with learning or knowing if someone has contracted anything sexually transmitted?
Well, you have names reporting, but you can only go so far with names reporting, because people have a lot of anonymous hookups on social media apps and things like that, or they're not willing to give the names and say they don't know. So, people do their best to county health workers to identify those who had potential exposure, but they're very limited.
What are some statistics you can give on the number of young people who will contract HIV or AIDS?
Well, we're definitely seeing a rise in HIV, especially among young men who have sex with men. And that's the age group 18 to 29. And I would say, on an average, we are seeing one case a month. So that would be about 12 a year.
In your opinion, do you see a cure for the near future for HIV or AIDS?
These are great questions. I've been in the field, like I said, all these years, and if I went by every article that came out, I would have thought it was just around the corner. And here we are 30 years later, and it's everything I read, we're just around the corner. Yes, at some point, yes, I do. When? I don't know.
Coming up, we'll talk to you about making changes on campus here at Bloomfield College. We want to know what you think needs to be changed on campus and why. But don't go away. This is BC Breakdown.
We got help on the way, ma'am.
According to everytownsearch.org, since 2013, at least 170 school shootings have taken place in America, an average of nearly one a week. Since October 15, 2015, Georgia, Florida, Michigan, Ohio, and many other states have become active participants in the Active Guns on Campus bill.
The campaign to keep guns off campus was created to protect schools from allowing students to carry guns on school property. For more information and to sign the nationwide petition, visit keepgunsoffcampus.org.
And welcome back to BC Breakdown. Students raised concerns about what could be changed on campus, and some of their responses were rather interesting.
If I could make a change on Bloomfield College campus, it would be to unite the students, basically, because there's a lot of division within the students, within the staff, the orgs, everything, you know, and I just wish for solidarity amongst everyone.
If I could make one change on campus, I'd make it a wet campus, because I feel like once you're old enough to drink, you should be able to drink in the comfort of where you live.
More extracurricular activities, you know, for actually the residents on campus, because we don't have a lot of that.
If I could change one thing on campus, it would have to be to have more programming on campus, because I feel as though the campus is really dry, so I would have to change programming.
Well, it looks like we're out of time. Thank you to all who watched. I'm Jaime Gates, and this is BC Breakdown.
This is BC Breakdown.
BC Breakdown.
It's BC Breakdown.
This is BC Breakdown.
This is BC Breakdown. BC Breakdown.
This is BC Breakdown.